Hi, we're here at CES 2014, and as always, everything is new at CES, and we have the privilege of speaking with Steve McKay, who's the CEO of Entone, and Entone is bringing its own new messages to this show. I guess, Steve, a good place to begin, because you're focused on the service providers, the pay TV operators who are trying to keep up with this marketplace. And a lot of them are here, obviously. And what they're seeing, of course, is endless gadgets. And they know the consumer is getting more and more of these gadgets. And I don't know what the average is now in the home of connected devices, but it's somewhere north of 6 or 7 on just the average home. Forget about more upscale homes that might have 10 or 15 of them. And all of these people with all these devices have access to video. And so the operator is like, how do I get my service on there? And that's where this whole concept of bringing together a combination of service, which is the premium TV service, and maybe some of that over the top into an integrated user interface, comes into play. But then you got a licensing problem, and you've got to get over that as far as being able to deliver all your content. So tell us a little bit about how you're solving some of those issues from the standpoint of what you provide in the way of home media gateways.
Sure. So, Entone, we grew up as an IPTV company, and in our business, you kind of declare, which side you're on early on, which is, are you with the operators or are you against the operators? And so we sell devices and related software that are targeted for making the operators more successful. Now, that used to be, in the very early days, just enabling a consumer to access their TV service over the operator's network. Fair enough, that was never easy. It's gotten a lot more complicated. Today, operators really are challenged with, on one hand, a hybrid world where they have to bring together their premium television services with all of the internet services and present that in a unified fashion. They also have the challenge that within a given home, I think 6 or 7 devices is very conservative. In our home alone, at least 15 or 20 different ways to consume the exact same content, right? And so for the operator, that really presents a challenge, because consumers are going to insist, I call it a bring your own device world. They're going to insist that they can bring their own device, right? And the operators have to be able to do that in a way that keeps that consumer as a subscriber to their services, because they see the value in them.
So then, how are you doing that for the operator? What is it that you're doing to bring that together?
So we know how this all ends. This all ends in a way that it's been long predicted, which is everything resides in the cloud and we can access it from any device at any time. And that sounds great. We've been talking about it now for 10, 15, 20 years. And unfortunately, we're still a long ways away from that reality. We've kind of cracked the bandwidth code, but the commercial issues are really complicated, right? The licensing deals, and especially on a market-by-market basis. And so what we see is our customers being the operators, are asking us to help them on an evolutionary path of, on one hand, supporting hybrid TV in the operator network world, and then also supporting a multi-device environment within the home. What is Entone doing? Many different models, one of which is our gateway model, that on one hand does the heavy lifting for supporting the hybrid of operator provision services, and then brings that and makes it available to many different devices in the home.
And when they say hybrid, you're also talking about bringing in some of the over-the-top, right? And aggregating that and presenting that as part of a TV service?
Yeah, it's funny. Years ago at this show, we announced our partnership with a company called Voodoo. And at the time, Voodoo had its own device, right? And we posited that the operators would benefit by actually embracing Voodoo-like services, over-the-top services, and what we call it, bring it into the fold. And so we launched the ability for consumers within their operator service to get movies on demand through Voodoo. And since then, we've expanded that to many different content providers. And what this allows the operators is to keep quote-unquote over-the-top services on input 1 of the television, right? So imagine an Entone device that the consumer interacts with for their normal, traditional broadcast television service. but now they want to consume, whether it be Pandora or YouTube or Netflix or Vudu or whatever it may be. They don't pick up a different remote control. They don't change the input to the TV. They don't have a different user experience. That's all available to them on the same user experience, the same remote control, the same input on the television, and that's part of what Entone does.
So we have this situation now where the operator is able to cap the set-top box. We have a situation now where there's an opportunity to deliver a more compelling experience. Describe to me a little bit about what's going on to enable this interface, this navigation experience, so that it's really like a new service, but it's integrated service. It's not jumping from one thing to another as we see now.
Well, firstly, just starting at the connectivity level, Entone recently announced Interlink, which is our technology for allowing our gateway device or other connectivity devices to support all kinds of connected devices through the home, whether it be through wireless technology, 802.11 AC, or using MoCA, or we even have a technology which we call our set-top boxless technology, where called Duo, where we allow you to actually distribute a live authenticated TV stream to TVs in the home without requiring a set-top box device at that television. And at the connectivity level, that's done over RF, and then we can talk about the user experience as well.
So, and again, the ability to stop putting set-top boxes in the home is a major advantage, I would think, to what you're offering. What about from the user experience side? What is the result of using your technology and all the things you've described with respect to the over-the-top and the premium distribution, all the devices? What is the user experience that you can deliver from all that?
So we probably a couple of different core use cases. In fact, I'll even add a third. But one is a traditional television experience with middleware software that presents a program guide and a user interface, and in that case, what we've done is we've worked to add the over-the-top services as part of that. And so you'll see a menu bar along the bottom, and you'll launch the application. You'll have that experience. In other cases, we have what we call our operator as an app model, and in this model, for example, we announced our partnership with LG. In our partnership with LG, it's actually Entone's a set-top box company. Is actually an LG set-top box with Entone software. It's a little bit upside down. And so when the consumer is using the LG set-top box, they launch the Entone Fusion TV app, right? And in that case, it's actually a branded application for the operator, and the operator is actually presented as an application on the LG device, similar to the way it may work with your mobile phone. And what's unique about this is that it's a full operator branded experience, but on a bring your own device model. So the consumer brought their own device, in this case an LG device, right? And the operator is presented as an application on that device.
So this is actually an LG IP set-top that's connecting to a traditional set-top and then interfacing with the TV, or are you talking about a TV, an LG TV?
So it is an IP streamer in this case. So it's a set-top box in the way that a Roku is a set-top box, right? And so it's an IP streaming device. And they've worked with Entone, LG has worked with Entone to enhance the value of it in a couple of ways. One is that they work with us with our Fusion TV app to enable live TV. Secondly, we also have a module that runs on that device that makes it operator friendly. So through things like TR69, the operator actually has insights into what the consumer is doing on that device. One of the biggest issues with the IP streamers has been, if you're an operator, the consumer takes it home, you have no idea what they're doing with it. All you know is that your bandwidth consumption has gone way up, right? But you have no insights as to what the consumer is doing. You really have no ability to manage that device. And so those are two ways that we've worked with LG and the operators to add more value to that category of device.
Talk to me a little bit more about that operator as an app, and come back to that in terms of the premium service component and how all that works as integrating everything?
Sure. So in this case, imagine we'll stick with the LG example. Imagine that I've gone to Walmart and I've purchased an LG IP video streamer and I bring it home. Presented as one of your options will be live TV, and if I want live TV, I'll be given a couple of options. One which will be, well, if I have an over-the-air antenna, then I will be presented with a guide option right on that device, and I'll register myself and my location, and suddenly I'll have the ability to enjoy live TV. Or what Entone is also doing is working with the operators so that our gateway does the digital rights management, the transcoding that you talked about, and the distribution over the home network to get that authenticated video stream to that category of device.
I see. So this does work with the gateway, in other words, and it becomes a way of getting the premium content into that IP-connected device.
For authenticated TV services, that works through a gateway. If it's over-the-air services, it really doesn't require the gateway.
Let me ask you where you think all of this is going. I mean, you're talking about introducing a next-generation box in the home, but at the same time potentially getting rid of ancillary boxes. Does this open up a path for migration away from boxes altogether?
Yeah, for years now, we're in the set-top box business. That's our reality.
Yeah.
And for 10 years now, we've been hearing about the death of the set-top box. And in the meantime, we've decided, okay, we're going to be the company that actually rids the world of set-top boxes. We've had a really tough time doing it because there were more set-top boxes sold this year than last year, more last year than the year before, and there will be more sold next year than this year. And so the reality is that this plan is not going very well if we're really trying to get rid of set-top boxes in the world. And there are all kinds of reasons why that is the case. So part of the reason I say this is it's important for Entone to stay innovative and to keep our eye on, okay, how do we enable a world without set-top boxes? What I will say is that the prior generation of devices that were called set-top boxes are completely history, right? These were devices that did little more than allow the conditional access for you to display a television signal. Today's set-top boxes are really a combination of gateway devices that do all kinds of heavy lifting to enable hybrid TV on one side and a home cloud full of IP-connected devices on the other. And even the endpoint devices, such as the LG device that I talked about, literally enables hundreds, perhaps thousands of choices that include both traditional authenticated pay TV services and all the great innovative content sources that are available over the open internet.
So I guess what I'm hearing, though, as far as ultimately the next step here, is that the operators understand they've got to deliver all their content, not just certain select pieces of content, to these connected devices. But to do that, they have to leverage their licenses as they exist, because they can't get the licenses that they need to be ubiquitous with that. So it becomes a home environment that they got to serve, and the gateway is providing that ability so that all that stuff coming in over either the IPTV channel or over the MPEG-2 transport, that's coming in the legacy transmit modes, and then it's getting changed in the home and sent out to those devices. There's no licensing involved there. As long as the content is protected according to the standards that have been set, then the end user is having that user experience that is just like on the TV set.
Yeah, it's very well put, and again, we know how it ends, right? We know how the story ends. The story ends with all content being stored, residing in the cloud, and accessible from all devices. The reality is we're a long ways away from that, and the operators are looking for evolutionary ways to get there.
They got to get in the game right now. I mean, the statistics are amazing on the amount of usage that's going on, and if they're not getting that premium content on those devices in the home. And by the way, the research shows that on smartphones and tablets, but even smartphones, vast majority of video consumption's in the home.
Yeah.
And so worrying about getting outside the home and fighting the rights battles seems to me to be kind of missing the boat as to where the opportunity lies right now. If you have the right device, turn that around.
Well, it's certainly not the low-hanging fruit, and so the the idea of gateway and the home cloud and the taking authenticated services and protecting that to the point of the home and distributed throughout the home to the various IP connected devices. This is a great starting point with all of our eyes firmly on the world in which everything's in the cloud, and that's a utopia we all want, and unfortunately it's still a long ways away.
Well, meanwhile, there's an immediate utopia of having a better solution for the marketplace as it stands. So we'll see how it goes with what you're offering to get to that level.
Sounds great. Thanks, Fred.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.